Today on Never Legends podcast, I have Meridian Coach Jim Smith, whose team is in the state semifinals against a tough Hopewell team down in Hopewell this Friday night. Coach's Meridian Mustangs beat a very well-regarded New Kent team I guess it was probably a thrilling game. I guess we're going to hear all about it. But Coach, congratulations! Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Julian. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. Hey, so Coach, if you look at the brackets, the four favorites are survived in the group three, and up and down. If you look up and down the classes, it's all chalk. You don't have a lot of 10 lost teams that qualified, which is always a few back, in 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Is it gotten like this where the chalk advances easier, or is this?
I don't know. I think probably it's kind of a year to year thing. I think when you look at high school basketball, it's probably the sport that of any of them has the greatest likelihood of upsets. When you talk about 3-point shooting, you can make or miss the same shots. When you talk about five fouls and your best players maybe not playing part of a game, when you talk about a 32-minute game, I think the game itself just lends itself to upsets and unpredictability. So I don't, I think maybe it's just this year, and you maybe go 2 years from now and you have upsets all over the place. So I think it's maybe just more random than a pattern.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the randomness or the uncertainty of a game, foul trouble, injuries, and that can cause upsets. If you're a control freak, and I'm not calling you a control freak, coach, but how do you get in front of those things? Like, I know as a coach you want to control your own destiny, but there's a lot of uncertainty. What do you do to try to control things and put things in your favor?
Well, probably is coming up over time with the wisdom that there's only certain things you can control and other things you can't. You kind of learn that as you get older. I think the best thing, and you're not always capable of doing it, is having a team that can win in a variety of different ways, that has multiple scorers, can play different ways defensively, can play different ways offensively. One thing that I say to our players more and more in preparation for a game, like every game is going to be different, and we're going to have to be able to adapt and figure it out and figure out what's going to work for us that evening. Maybe it's a particular matchup. We don't play very much zone, but at some point during the season, we just kind of worked on a little bit of a 2-3 zone, because I said there may be one game, guys, where it gets us a stop here, gets us a stop there. It's a change, something other people haven't seen us do. So I think just kind of going forward, just being able to win games in different ways helps you the most with the unpredictability.
Well, it's funny, coach. I you don't see many zone defenses these days, and when I've seen zone this year, it seems like the offenses struggle. They're not used to seeing them, and they don't know what to do when they see a zone defense.
I've never been a big zone coach, but one thing I heard as a college coach say years ago at a clinic is, hey, it's not how good your zone defense is, it's how good their zone offense is. And if they don't play a very good zone offense, then hey, that's a good thing for you. So we try to have it as part of our package that we can use on a given night. But I heard like one of the smartest things years ago, Lefty Driesell at Maryland, one day a week when his teams played pickup, would make them play zone and pickup, just so even in the off season they got used to seeing that and it wasn't something strange for them. And I thought that was kind of smart.
Yeah. Well, Lefty did a lot of smart things. I think I had the last interview with Lefty before he passed away, the last podcast interview at least. And he told
Wow.
me a story. He won the state championship in 1950, and they lost a lot of games. And I said, Coach, how were you able to do that? How'd you guys win the state tournament? He says, well, there was a guy at the barbershop named Lou something, and he was 6'8", and he wasn't in school. So we talked him into enrolling in Granby. Came in, and he ended up being a Division I player. I can't think of his last name.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a
Well,
real
that's a different world there, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Well, Lefty always had his ways, right?
Yes.
Well, let's get back to Meridian. So, what was the game like? So you made me look bad. I went out. I went and told everyone it's going to be a high scoring game. This game is going to be both teams are going to be in triple figures, and I think at the end of the first quarter, it was like 12-6 or something like that. So what was the plan of attack, and why and how did the game transpire?
Well, we had talked, and one thing that I think I'd mentioned to you that was like the pleasant surprise with this group as we went forward was that we were a really good half court team, and we had the ability to grind people out in a half court game. We, practice this late in the season. You're not doing a ton, but we tried to be very targeted in our preparation. And one of the things we wanted to try to work on was our transition defense, making sure we had guys getting back, making sure everybody was getting matched up, and the understanding that like all five of our players had to be able to guard all five of theirs because you can't control where guys are going to be in transition. So we did that. Looking at the film, I was really happy. We did a good job. We didn't give up much in transition. We found their shooters early. And big game like that, I think maybe teams get a little tight. One of their better players, I should have his name here. Hold on. Ray, he really had a great year, and we thought he was like their best all-around offensive player. He struggled 1 for 14, and sometimes you get off to a bad start, and it's hard to get off the snide, and it just taking away their transition opportunities and making them work for everything in the half court kind of turned it into the grinded out game that we're able to win.
And they're probably not used to that kind of game.
They scored 45 against us. They had scored 57 in a game over Western Albemarle, the very first game of the year, and then their lowest besides that was 65. So we held them well below anything they had all year.
How about defensively? Did he do anything to surprise you when you had the ball?
As we said, they run, their version of, Braddock stuff. Their pressure overall, we handled it. But they come at you, they play hard. Just really good team. You don't go 24-3 by accident. But the other thing I thought we did a good job, like they pressure you also on their misses, and our guys, being able to outlet the ball, and we found some leak outs against them, which were big baskets for us. One of our guys off the bench, Marquise Miles, was able to get loose in transition a few times, and Marquise has really had a great year for us. Coming off the bench, I think. I was looking up. I think in 11 of our 27 games, he scored double figures off the bench for us. And again, like in a 32-minute game, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So the game, it sure is. At one point, the game did tighten up, I think, to 5. How did they get back into the game, and what did you do to make sure that Meridian pulled away?
Well, I think probably the thing I told our guys is I thought we played an A game defensively. And, my only nitpick was they got us on the offensive glass a little bit in the third quarter. They were able to get some second chance opportunities, and eventually, they hit some shots. Offensively, we left a lot of points on the floor, 12 for 23 from the free throw line, lost points there, missed some shots around the paint. And I told the guys we were probably like a C game offensively. So again, New Kent is a very, very good team, but we probably made it harder on ourselves than it had to be. And it actually got to a 2-point game with 2 minutes left. And that possession off the timeout, we did a really nice job spreading the floor, being patient, and finally got a layup. And that was enough to get us over the hump. So again, really proud of our guys in a close game, situational basketball, getting a really great offensive possession there when we had struggled offensively in the second half.
Yeah. Well, that's when it's nice to have a team of veterans.
Right.
When you have this big lead and you feel like you've already won the game, and next thing you know you're in a dogfight. That's when things can really go south. But it's nice to have veterans to execute and get that layup.
Correct.
Yeah. So, well, look, now we have the next task is Hopewell. That's your prize for beating New Kent, another Richmond area team, kind of. First of all, you both are 1 seeds. So how did it end up you're going down there?
Well, I think it's just the VHSL rotational. So this is the year that our side of the bracket goes to their side of the bracket if your ones match up. I think one thing that was changed this year, this used to be you would go. It was set up that you would go, but it would be a neutral site game. But the VHSL added, I guess they're always changing and adding, that if your gym was of a certain size, you could host. So this was our year to go, and since Hopewell has a gym of a certain size, they can host the game. So we will be at Hopewell for a state semifinal on a Friday night.
Yeah. Well, you've been to Skyline and it worked out pretty good. So
Sure,
maybe
sure.
you can go to Hopewell, another hostile environment. Um, well, are you excited about that? I know it would be nice to be at Meridian. I'm sure you had a big crowd there. Are you excited to go down to Hopewell?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll go anywhere to be playing basketball this time of the year. Come on,
Yeah.
we're thrilled, and we're thrilled that we get the opportunity to practice today. We're thrilled to get on a bus, and we're thrilled to get the opportunity to go out and play against a really good team and still be alive.
Yeah, I talked to the Robinson Post player, Georgia Simonson, yesterday. They have to go to Manchester. They're both one seeds. She's thrilled to get a road trip. And then I talked to Doug Craig. Woodson has to go all the way down to Oscar Smith in Chesapeake for a Friday game. And so, but you do get you do get a sense of getting on a bus and something a little bit different. So that's nice.
Absolutely. Well, and it's not that different for us.
Yes, yeah. This is a day in
No,
the
our,
life,
our
and
kids
you
are
did
very
have a
used
trip
to do.
down.
Our kids are used to doing this. This is like a regular season game in terms of our preparation and getting on a bus. In all honesty,
No, exactly. And you went down to Armstrong just a few weeks
we
ago.
did. And one thing that I told them when we played at Armstrong, if you're going to do something special this year, you may have to win a game in Richmond at some point, and it has turned out that way.
Well, here it is. All roads go through Richmond. Well, let's talk about Hopewell. They're also coached by a veteran coach, Elvin Edmonds. Old time, I don't want to say old timer, but he's been around. I might get some nasty grams, but he's been coaching for quite a long time. Teaches there at Hopewell. Very young team. Deshaun Spellman is a 6'7" junior, 18 points, 5 rebounds a game. Nick Bird, great 3-point shooter, 49%.
Yes.
He's a 6 foot junior, 15 points, 5 assists. Stephon Curry is a 6'4" junior, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Uh,
I think that's Cherry, not Curry.
oh,
I
that's
might
right.
mix him
That's
up
right,
with
Jerry.
another pretty good player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they got Dominique Coleman's a senior point guard. He's 5'10". Young team. They only lost to John Marshall and Stewart or whatever.
Stewart, yeah.
Stewart, a private school down in Richmond. So, so what more can you tell us about Hopewell?
So, looking at them, what I saw was, first off, their size, they're big, and the Jordan number 32 inside is a handful. Spellman number 5, you look at him, and the immediate comparison to me was Jordan Scott. Long, silky smooth, shoots the ball extremely well. The point guard, Bird, number 4, we told Jarrett Jardine, he's just a player. He can make shots. He can break you down defensively. He's a willing passer. Very, very good. Uh, Cherry, as you mentioned, just extremely athletic, can get to the rim. And then number 3, Coleman, another very good spot up shooter. So when you look at them, their size initially is what you see, and then their skill, very, very skilled team. And then you look at the defensive end, very well coached, very disciplined. So that's a problem right there when you're big, you're skilled, and you're well coached. So they're very good.
Yeah, they sound good. Are they similar to Lake Taylor? Now they beat Lake Taylor this year, and Lake Taylor had another good year. I believe Lake Taylor's not alive anymore. But are they similar to Lake Taylor that you faced last
So
year?
what I will tell you is I try not to look at people before we have a chance to play them because I'm it's the old Sherlock Holmes theory that you only have so much room in your attic, and if you put other stuff in there, you run out of room. So I did not look at Lake Taylor. Obviously, we played Lake Taylor last year, and they lost the 2 bigs, and I know they had really good guards back, but they were different.
Right.
Uh, I think if I was going to compare the last year Lake Taylor team to this team, I think not maybe not quite the size of that Lake Taylor team, but this team more skilled.
Yeah. Well, let's. It sounds like it's going to be a great matchup. What time do you guys are leaving on Friday? I assume because
We
usually
will
it's
we
Monday.
will get on the bus. We'll have our pregame meal at school at 3, and we will get on the bus at 3:30, and hopefully we walk into that gym about 6, and tip off will be at 7.
Yeah. Well, Coach, do you have your motivational 1 minute motivational speech ready for the kids? Are you going with Hoosiers? Are you going to go with any given Sunday? Do you got a speech that can really get them this late in the year?
I'm gonna basically just go with be yourself. I mean, let's be who we are. Let's be who we've been the entire year. Um, we were able to escape, I think, against New Kent, not playing quite as well as we're capable of playing. We need to play. We need to be a very good version of ourselves on Friday, and I think if we're a good version of ourselves, we're going to give ourselves a chance. So, that may not sound like you'd run through the door for that, but I think that's the reality. And like when you got a senior laden group and a group that's played a lot of games, they have an inner confidence that they have been successful when they play the game the right way. So I don't think I have to say anything to get them ready. I think they're going to be ready.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, Coach. You always have your teams ready. Last question: what's your biggest concern for Friday's game? What worries you the most about Friday?
Again, I think so. The two things that we're gonna really think we need to do a good job to be competitive is one, we have to find a way to keep them off the glass. I think we'll defend okay in the half court. I mean, they obviously have shot makers. They're going to make plays. We can't give them a ton of second chance opportunities. They're too good, and their size is going to present a problem keeping them off the glass. Second thing, they're going to show us different looks defensively. They get after you well in the man, and they'll extend. They have a nice change up in their 2-2-1 where they can give you some problems. We have to take care of the basketball. We've been really, really good, as maybe you'd expect a senior laden group. I think the 4 games prior to our last game, we turned the ball over 13 times total in 4 games, and we're very good at ball security. But against New Kent, we uncharacteristically turned the ball over, I think, 7 times in the second half. We can't do that against Hopewell. So for me, those would be the two things that I would target. We have to do a good job on the defensive backboards, and we have to take good care of the basketball. If you told me at the end of the game that we did those things, I would think we would have a good shot.
Yeah, Coach, does it make you emotional or sad that this is last couple times you're going to be coaching these kids that have been with you for a long time?
Absolutely. I'm going to try to laugh to. I could get emotional right now thinking about it. So
It's good for my views. It's good for my exposure. Good for my exposure if you do cry because I'll put that in the description.
no, it's a special group, and I think the thing about them is they don't want to let me down, uh, but I really don't want to let them down.
Yeah,
So I try not to get ahead of myself and think about it, but I've really, really enjoyed coaching this group. Great,
yeah.
great group of kids.
Well, Coach, you couldn't let them down. You've done an amazing job getting them in the state semifinals. This is a game they'll never forget, win or lose. Even though we want to win it, they'll never forget it. So I don't think there's any way you guys can let each other down. What a great run! And let's get the win, and hopefully we'll talk next week.
I'll look forward to it. Hey, real quickly, I want to congratulate all my fellow Nova programs. Shout out to Mike at South Lakes and Doug Craig at Woodson, and I don't know the guys at Riverside, but congrats to them, and congrats to Hanley and their staff. They do a great job. Julian, have you ever gone to a game at Hanley?
Uh, I refereed there, I think, years ago.
That's
Yeah,
a great atmosphere. That's a place you should go. You walk into that place and you feel like it's kind of dripping with history. And then
yeah,
you look at kind of the sloganing and stuff. It's like, wow, sports are important here. It's kind of a cool place. So I've enjoyed the last couple of years coaching a couple games there.
I mean, the football field is spectacular
I
too.
know.
The football, you walk right into the school. The field is right there. Um, I was going to go to the Spring Mills Hanley game, and I had no excuse. I just got lazy, and there was a game. Heritage was playing Tuscarora for the millionth time.
Sure.
It's a good matchup, but I've seen them play all year. And I ended up going to that game and then I came home and I watched the game online. You could just feel the energy on the computer, which usually it's hard to do that. So I'm still kicking myself for missing that great match. It was an overtime matchup. I'm sure you know. Um, but yeah. So I appreciate that. I appreciate those shout outs. I'm sure the coaches will. You guys are a fraternity. You'll be happy to know that Mike Desmond was sick on Tuesday's game, so he had to sit the whole game. He couldn't stand and coach. I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe he got teed early, and I didn't see it. But it turns out he was really sick. And he couldn't stand. He sat there and behaved himself the whole game, and
You
they
know,
played great.
you hear Mike talk about like his relationship with his point guards, like it's tough being point guard for him. Well, he was a point guard for me, and that's where all this stuff comes from. I would tell Mike, there's no time to be sick. Get your butt up off the bench and coach. You can always lay in bed when the season's over. I don't want to hear that crap that he was too sick. Is he a leader of that team or not? Give me a break.
Yeah,
Give me a break. So tell them that's coming from his old coach. I don't want to hear about you being too sick. I'm a lot older than you, and I'm not going to be saying I'm sick on the bench, even if I'm like, at death's doorstep. That's ridiculous.
and that was the state quarterfinal coach. He had to be ashamed of himself.
Come on, show a little toughness, a little backbone, please.
Oh, this is great. He's going to fire back. I think I'm talking to him today. I want to make sure he sees this before I talk to him. But
Ask him how many times in all his years with me that he saw me saying I'm sick and I'm sitting on the bench. Ask him that one. I heard he missed a practice this year. I heard he's missed a practice because he was sick or something like that. Ask him how many practices has Coach Smith missed his entire career because
well,
of illness? Are you kidding me? Come
yeah.
on.
There's really no explaining his behavior, and I'm embarrassed. He's my friend, but it looks like he's
He
on the
does a hell of
mend.
a, he does a, I'm so proud of him. He's just fantastic.
Oh, he's a great coach.
He's great. He's just fantastic. All kidding aside.
Yeah, I know. Well, kind of kidding, but well, look, Coach, again. Hope you have the best of luck, safe travels, get
Thank
the
you.
win, and hopefully we'll talk next week.
Thank you for your coverage, Julian.
Oh, sure, Coach. See you soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Yep.